Hello and welcome to the monthly Q&A. If you'd like to get your question answered in a Q&A like this one, then head on over to us.fm/Sharmalade and I will do my best to answer your question as long as it's not too rude. Question number 1, does wearing a mask all day bother you? And that's from Bianca. I don't actually wear a mask all day. I'm really fortunate. I get to work from home, so the pandemic hasn't affected me in that way. The only time that I've been wearing my mask, obviously, is if I'm going out to the post office to send my Patreon mail out. But aside from that, I haven't really felt the effects of wearing a mask. And when I'm wearing it, it doesn't really bother me anyway. I'm curious to see how long we will be wearing masks for, and if this is going to be like an ongoing thing, because isn't in Japan, or I think it's Japan, they wore masks way before anyway, like it's just a thing for them. Do you believe in horoscope compatibility? I've always enjoyed horoscopes, and I used to read my horoscope whenever we used to get the newspaper. This was like years ago that I used to be kind of like, oh, I wonder what it says. I'm a Taurus, although I think I've changed. I think didn't the horoscopes change? I think I might be an Aries now. But I do think it's the power of suggestion, and it's quite someone can sort of say to you, oh, you're going to feel a certain way this week, and because the seed has been planted into your mind, sometimes it can work its own little magic. But I don't know enough about horoscope compatibility to be able to comment on it. My auntie studied astrology. She is so knowledgeable. She's like a font of knowledge when it comes to astrology, and when I was a very young girl, she read my chart. She did a whole chart with all the planets and everything, and it was really, really interesting. And I saw her last year, and I could listen to her talking for hours about astrology, and she did, and I was just absorbing it because I do find it all quite interesting. Have you ever caused a fight, beef, or a mini war? How? Why? From KJ. Not that I can recall. I never got into fights at school. I never got into like arguments. There were 2 incidences that I remember just kind of walking away from at school, where this kid said that he had kissed me and he hadn't, and there was this to do in the Link building, which is like this building that links the other classrooms, and you can stand underneath it. It's like kind of like a big brick tunnel, and we were stood under there, and he came out and he's like, oh yeah, you kissed me, and I was like, no, I didn't. Why are you telling everybody that you did? And then suddenly, before I knew it, all these people had like crowded around us like in a circle and like kind of pinned us in, and I was like, oh no. And then I turned and walked away, and I remember him going, where are you going? And I turned around over my shoulder and I went, anywhere that you're not. And my friend Louise came up to me afterwards and she was like, oh my God, Jenna, that was like really cool what you said. I was like, yeah, I know. And then there was another confrontation where Louise was my best friend at school. We was walking up to a lesson, and just this girl who was just such an asshole. Like, there's no other way to describe her. She was just an outright bully. She obviously had things going on in her life, but she just suddenly jumped Louise. Like, we was just walking to class and she jumped onto her back and just like held on and was like, Lou was just a strong girl. She just literally carried on walking and like shrugged her off, and I was like, Lou, I don't know what that was all about. But yeah, I'm not confrontational. I never have been, and I don't understand arguments. I'd rather just be able to have like debates where you can just talk logically and clearly and concisely without getting upset at either person's point of view. Although in saying that, there have been instances between Ian and I where I'm like, no, I'm so right, and why can't you see that? And then I'm not. What's the biggest lie you've heard so far? From Ellen Wu. Whoa. That's really difficult. Biggest lie? Do you know, I really can't think of the biggest lie that I've heard so far. I mean, I've obviously been lied to in my lifetime, but I just can't think of like the biggest lie. That's a really difficult question. When was the last time you cursed? Probably like just before this, just before vlogging, probably just before pressing record. I have got a mouth like a trucker. It's because this is no excuse, but it's because I'm from Kent. I feel like we're all a bit foul-mouthed. That's why I worry about doing things like interviews and, like where they're actually off-the-cuff interviews. It's not like someone has sent you questions and then you sit there and like you've got like a pre-record, like you can pre-record and edit it and stuff like that. When it's a live interview, I'm always like really watching what I say so that I don't like swear or say anything really bad. Over the years playing WoW, I met so many wonderful people. Some of them became my best friends. I can't even imagine my life going on without WoW. What would your life be like if you had never played WoW? What would you do? And that's from Vadim Borisov. That's an amazing question, and one that we can all probably relate to. What would we be doing if we'd never played World of Warcraft? I mean, I probably would be in a retail career because I enjoyed retail. Never liked office work. I just couldn't get on with it. Retail, it's nice because you can move about. There's like different things you can go and do. Colleagues are usually pretty like-minded, and getting to talk to customers one-to-one. Like, I hate, this is so relatable, right? But phones, I just can't talk to people on the phone. I just feel so awkward. Whereas if I'm face-to-face with the person, I think I like to be able to see their expressions and what their responses are facially. So I would probably be doing something in retail, which I often think about it. I often do think, what would I be doing now if I hadn't have gone down the World of Warcraft route with singing, because this has now become my livelihood, and I'm in that niche of World of Warcraft singer, songwriter, I guess vlogger, and it's just my niche. It's my little pocket in life, and I'm very, very happy with that. I'm very happy with that little section that I've sort of crawled into. I'm making it sound like it's a slog, but it's really not. But yeah, I guess I'd be doing something in retail. Could you ever live without your phone? And that's from Sintana. Yeah, probably. Sometimes, I don't look at my phone very much during the day, and also because I work with a lot of audio stuff, audio interface, singing, recording, I don't want to have my phone on, it's always on silent, so I never really know what's going on with it, and then I'll check it at the end of the day and I've got like 70 odd messages and I'm like, oh no. We'll try and catch up. I do like using my phone for little phone games and things like that, and I use it for Twitter, but not very much. I'm so bad with social media, so I'm not a frequent poster or anything like that. Literally just use my phone for WhatsApp and Twitter, and maybe going on the internet a little bit. Oh, and banking and things like that. But I could definitely live without my phone. I really, really could. And I've never really understood this. I don't mean this as a slight on anyone, but I've never really understood how, when if I text someone and they text back instantly, I'm like, you must, and it's like every single time as well, I think, God, you must have your phone on you, like at your hip, like an umbilical cord to your phone. I tend to find that a lot of the time I've got angry messages as to why I haven't responded. Because I just don't, my phone's here, but I just don't. Someone's just texted me. So that is it for this month's Q&A. If you'd like to get your question answered in a Q&A like this one, then head over to us.fm/Sharmalade, and I will do my best to answer your question, as long as it's not too rude. Have a wonderful week, everybody. Stay safe, stay well, and I will see you in the next one.